Good afternoon. It's 1:30, April 15th, 2025. We're in the Tom Baker Room of the City County Building in Bismarck. Before we start the meeting, we'll have Pledge of Allegiance. This will be the Metropolitan Planning Organization Policy Board meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, this is the Bismarck-Mandan Metropolitan Planning Organization Policy Board. We'll call the meeting to order if we can call roll.
Mayor Berglund,
Here.
Commissioner Zachmeyer, Mayor Freilich,
Here.
Commissioner Schwab,
Here.
Chair Schmidt.
Here. Item number 3 on the agenda is review and possible approval of minutes from the March 18th, 2025 meeting. Policy Board members, what are your wishes?
I will move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Mayor Berglund,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Chair Schmidt.
Yes. Item 4 is the Arrive 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan Amendment. Kim? This
Thank
is an
you.
action item, correct?
It is an action item, yes. Thank you, Chair Schmitz, members of the board. The first item in your packet, as found as Exhibit A on page 9, is a proposed amendment to the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. I'll bring that up on my screen and share that with you. Okay. The Arrive 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP, was adopted through resolution by the Policy Board on December 17th of 2024. So it is our active MTP until 2030. The amendment that is included in the packet is proposed to provide revised information regarding the urban regional road program funds through changes to text and tables within the document, and to also remove the planning emphasis areas references from the document in order to comply with a recently issued executive order from our president, and also provides for the update of maps and also to add or remove some minor text to provide accuracy and clarity of information. The details of the changes were all provided in the amendment along with the attachments. Hopefully that provided a clear view of what was actually being changed. I will let you know that the proposed amendment was advertised in the newspaper and also on the MPO's website for a 15-day public comment period, which concluded with a public hearing at yesterday's TAC meeting. Additionally, North Dakota DOT local government, federal highway, federal transit, and the members of the technical advisory committee were contacted and provided the amendment for review and for comment. No comment was received by the public through the review period or at the public hearing. However, written communication was received by North Dakota DOT local government last Friday, indicating that all concerns previously expressed by North Dakota DOT, Federal Highway Administration, and Federal Transit Administration had been addressed to their satisfaction. Based on that, TAC did recommend approval of the amendment as proposed. Do you have any questions regarding the items being revised within the amendment?
Any questions? Doesn't look like it. What are your wishes?
Make a motion to accept the amendment.
And I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Mayor Berglund,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Chair Schmidt.
Yes. Next item 5 is the 2025 Safety Policy Study, and is Luke online?
Yes, I am, Chair Schmitz. Can you hear me all right?
I can, yes.
All right, great. Thank you, Chair, members of the Policy Board. I'll provide a quick update here for progress being made on the safety policy study. We had a big steering committee meeting with professional technical staff from local jurisdictions in March, and it was a thick agenda. We got through a lot, and I've attached a couple items in your exhibit. The first being attachment 1, the final draft literature and policy review. Based on feedback from technical staff, we will be adding some information in that review regarding access management requirements or guidelines, as well as site triangle ordinance policies as they pertain to land development. So we'll be adding those things in and including some recommendations likely in the safety policy study for best practices and updates to some of those documents. But again, the literature and policy review is really intended to be a guiding document and ensuring that we're implementing best practices moving forward with the safety policy study. Another thing that we discussed that's critical for this body would be the leadership commitment and goal setting. We provided some background and examples to the steering committee. This is a requirement of SS4A, or one of the requirements, I should say, for Safe Streets and Roads for All, or SS4A, as a federal aid program. And it involves setting a Vision Zero target, meaning, 0 deaths, 0 serious injuries is a goal of the safety policy study. And then there's a target that's set. For example, by year 2050, the Bismarck MPO wants to see a significant reduction towards Vision Zero in severe crashes. And so we're laying out some draft options that may be included in the safety policy study, but I did want to make you aware of that as a planning tool moving forward, because there will be some review to see what kind of progress you're making as a region regarding safety, and then and what that means for the region moving forward. Attachment 2 in the exhibit is a data review memo. It's pretty straightforward. It lists most of the data that we collected and how we intend or how we are using it. We are calling that a working memo. We will be updating it over time here as we continue with our analyses. And we are in the thick of the safety analysis, so I think the next time that I speak to you all, we'll be able to chat a little bit more about progress there. And then the last thing I want to touch on is that we are scheduling focus group meetings for May 1st. And then we will have some public engagement pop-up events at the Earth Day Festival on April 29th and the Touch a Truck event in Mandan on May 17th. And really just to engage with folks, get them some information and get their feedback about where on the regional transportation system, where in your communities are people feeling the most unsafe, or where have they noticed safety issues or have concerns. So there'll be some mapping and kid-friendly activities for people of all ages at those 2 pop-up events. I think that's a pretty good update for now, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Luke.
Yep.
All right, 2025 ITSRA, Kim.
Thank you, Chair Schmitz. The feedback that was received through the small stakeholders group meetings held in March is still being processed. The information, once processed, will help to develop a questionnaire that'll be used through our next round of meetings. In addition to those March meetings, follow-up to input that was received and the gathering of additional feedback is still ongoing. A meeting is scheduled, for instance, on April 17th with City of Bismarck engineer Gabe Schell, and also from folks representing technology information departments. And we want to have this meeting to identify IT issues that are related to both the traffic and maintenance service areas. In addition, we are still in need of further information from the City of Lincoln Police Department and the Public Works Department there as well. And so hopefully we anticipate being able to share some new information with you at the May meeting, including insights gathered from the different user centers, which include emergency, traffic, maintenance, transit, and IT. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more information for you in May. Any questions right now regarding the ITS regional architecture or the update to it? All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 7, 2025 monitoring report update. Stephen.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just a brief update for the board today. We are conducting our monitoring report update. We finalized the contract we have with HDR, the consultant for the project, March 21st, and we held a kickoff meeting for the project March 31st. I will be meeting with the consultant regularly going forward. We will be reviewing our existing monitoring report document for data and content, and we intend to hold a stakeholder workshop, likely in early May, with jurisdictional planners and engineers, so we can better understand their data and performance needs as we prepare this update. So the contracted completion date for the project is December 31st, and more updates will be forthcoming as they are relevant. I don't expect it to be every month for this type of update, but we will come before the board as applicable until we finish the project. Are there any questions?
No, does not look like it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kim, the 2024 Consolidated Planning Grant redistribution.
Thank you, Chair Schmitz. You may recall that we talked about this a little bit at our last month's meeting. This is the redistribution of the unspent 2024 CPG or Consolidated Planning Grant funds. Now, the CPG funds are the federal dollars that are allocated to MPOs to fund their activities and programs. The Bismarck-Mandan MPO has no other funding source or mechanisms for its operations and programs other than the CPG and the required local match that's provided by its jurisdiction. So we rely very heavily on this funding. A process has been developed in coordination with the MPOs, North Dakota DOT, and Federal Highway to address the redistribution of any unspent CPG funds from a given year, if in the event that there are any. It doesn't mean that there will be, but just in case. And this process consists of, first of all, North Dakota DOT notifies the MPOs across the state, that would be all 4 of them, of the estimated CPG turnback balance, which would include the total balance of all 4 MPOs involved, after which then the MPOs have 2 weeks to provide a recommendation of how they would prefer the turnback funds be redistributed. Now, this was accomplished this year by March 6th. The turnback funds are then to be made available when the contracts are closed with Federal Highway Administration, and they are going to be included in the 2026 CPG estimate for the 2026 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWPs, of the MPOs. So that's the stage that we're at right now. According to the process that's been defined and laid out, North Dakota DOT is to provide the estimated amount by April 15th of each year. That is today. Today, we received that figure from North Dakota DOT, and it came in at an estimated amount of $799,699 and a bit of change. And that does correspond to what we had estimated. So we were thinking that it was going to fall within that approximate $800,000 amount for federal funding in 2026. The good news is that this allows us to move forward with our budgeting and programming exercises. And in fact, the MPO is already beginning to develop its 2026 and 2027 UPWP. Yesterday afternoon, we did have a meeting with the jurisdictional representatives, and we began identifying jurisdictional priorities and needs regarding studies, projects, and data purchases for 2026, 2027, and beyond. Continued communication will keep taking place throughout our summer months, next several months for sure, to refine the studies that are being considered and to put them into a budget and work program. Are there any questions regarding the redistribution of the 2024 CPG funds, or maybe even something general concerning the UPWP budgeting process?
Go ahead, Mayor.
I'm just wondering, that 799, or that 800,000, that is specific for the Bismarck-Mandan area, or is that for all of North Dakota?
That is specific for the Bismarck-Mandan MPO area.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
that is the federal amount, so that's the 80% portion.
Any other questions? Thank you,
Okay.
Kim.
Thank you very much.
Item 9 is a Bisman Transit update. Deidre, I feel like I'm seeing you a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. Chair Schmitz, policy board members, Kim had asked if I would provide a short update. So yesterday I provided an update to TAC. So just wanted to run through what we had going on in 2024 and then some of the projects that we've kind of undertook so far 2025. So some of this might be things you've heard already. Last year we celebrated our 20-year CAT anniversary in May. We offered 2 free ride weekends. The first weekend we had 831 trips, and then the second weekend we had 914 trips for the correlating weekend. So the reason I bring that up is that was the most free ride trips, or the most trips that we had in any weekend on the CAT bus since pre-COVID. So that was kind of really where we got our momentum with the CAT ridership increasing, and it seemed like that really carried through the rest of the year. So it was a nice way to celebrate the 20-year CAT anniversary. We did some TV interviews, things like that. We switched to Brightline Insurance from North Dakota Insurance Reserve Fund. They were unable to provide us an additional $1 million policy that we would need for our contract with the city of Bismarck. So we went out hunting for an insurance provider that was going to be able to be reasonably priced, as well as give us the limits that we needed. We found this company based out of Texas, but a lot of nonprofit transit organizations in South Dakota have used them. So I spoke with several of their directors, had nothing but great things to say about them, and it saved us about $90,000 switching. So that being said, our policy had started April 1st of last year. We had some claims, not too many, but working with them has been great. They've since been bought out by Insurica, which is a little bit larger company, but our prices remained more reasonable than if we would have gone with North Dakota Insurance Reserve Fund and then an additional umbrella policy. On top of our regular celebrations for the CAT anniversary, we did a lot of community outreach this year. So we attended the University of Mary Community Fair, United Tribes Technical College Community Fair, Touch a Truck, the New American Job Fair, YMCA National Senior Health and Fitness Vendor Show. We also completed travel training with Cloverdale. We also did some train the trainer for them. Global Neighbors, we did a group CAT bus training, so we actually went out on site with them, had them ride the bus with us, show them how to pay, how to flag down the bus, how to get off the bus. United Way Homeless Shelter, we did classroom and on-board training. Missouri Slope, we did some paratransit training, and then through BPS, we did life education program for some paratransit riders. We also developed the Introduction to CAT and Introduction to Paratransit formal training program. This was through a grant that we were awarded from the North Dakota Council for Developmental Disabilities. So they actually paid for us to do the development of the training materials and put on some courses. Didn't have great response to it, unfortunately. But the positive side of that is we were able to have a formal training that we were able to record and share with individuals as they request it. So if we're not able to do some on-site or in-person training, we now have a really good resource that we can share with agencies. We did receive $123,953 in advertising revenue. This is really important for us because we never used to do our own advertising until I want to say it was 2019 or 2020 when we took it in-house. Prior to that, we had always contracted this out. We were only getting 40% of the revenue that we were selling on all of our buses. So if anyone remembers when we had the cast clay buses or the guards buses, we weren't really making that much off of that. Taking it in-house, we've been able to see a huge increase in what we've been able to make year over year. We also were able to get $128,930 in interest revenue. So since COVID, we've been able to have a pretty healthy cash reserves that has provided us the opportunity to invest in CDs, and obviously having our savings account with a pretty good interest rate. So we're looking at any way that we can to generate more revenue that we haven't been able to do in the past. We signed our City of Lincoln paratransit service contract, so we got that renewed and taken care of, so we'll continue to be providing paratransit service out to the City of Lincoln. We received 4 replacement paratransit buses and 2 new vans. All of those were replacements for existing fleet, except one van was actually a fleet addition. So we'll be using that more for our will calls. So if you don't know what a will call is, it's when someone is leaving a hospital or a doctor's appointment and they need a trip same day. As long as we took them there and we're aware that they need a trip home, we will go and pick them up. So it kind of gets squeezed in the middle of our existing runs to get those individuals home. It works much easier with a van because it's kind of those shorter notice trips. We did have our 6th annual Stuff the Bus for Ministry on the Margins we collected for this year. We collected 700 items. It was exciting to see when we dropped off the people that we would be helping, and also kind of helped organize things there. So we've been doing that for several years, just something to give back to the community, and we're always looking for new nonprofits that we can collect for. So this is the first year actually collecting for Ministry on the Margins. We were able to offer free ride days for all of our elections on both paratransit and fixed route. So on June 11th, we provided 466 CAT trips and 303 paratransit trips. And then on November 5th, we had 562 CAT trips and 358 paratransit trips. So I think it's really notable to see how many trips we completed, because that's a Tuesday, and a Tuesday isn't historically our highest performing trip day, but there was obviously a need for the service, and then providing it at a free cost for everyone. Our CAT ridership our CAT ridership was 121,538. This was a 20.89% increase from 2023. And I shared this little tidbit yesterday at the TAC meeting. I'm in the process of doing our National Transit Database reporting. This is where we send all of our information to the Federal Transit Administration. And they flagged when I put in that we had such a big increase in ridership, because it's very unusual to see this type of increase without having major service changes, increasing your hours. But it's in fact correct. We just had seen a lot more fixed route riders in 2024 than we had in 2023. Paratransit, we completed 90,207 trips. This was a 2.8% increase from 2023. Our black route was our top performing route. Our second was the orange route. The orange route is our newest route. So when we removed the route in Mandan, the brown route that provided service to the south half of Mandan, we just shifted it over to Front Avenue all the way out to the transit facility. With that, we're hitting a lot of the service organizations, Heaven's Helper, Soup's Kitchen, Dream Center, even Walmart, DCIL. So that orange route is what's kind of operating as a service loop right now. We did have a reduction in at-fault accidents from 2023, which we had 19 in 2023, down to 14 in 2024. Let's see, anything else on here? And then obviously Measure 1 passed in both Bismarck and Mandan, so we're very excited about what that's going to bring for transit. On to 2025. This was our 5th year of a clean audit. So prior to that, we had never had a clean audit, and we're on a really positive run, especially with a small organization, and the help from the city finance department. We've been able to have 5 clean audits now. Also did work with the urban directors to advocate for Senate Bill 2254, which the governor had signed on April 3rd. So those urban directors would be Minot, Grand Forks, Fargo, and myself. So the language from that bill is $2 million of the Department of Transportation, $2 million to the Department of Transportation for the purpose of providing grants to fixed route city transportation providers for associated paratransit services for the biennium beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2027. It's a one-time funding, and obviously it is going to be split up between four urban transit organizations. We did propose a split that was fair to everyone, so it was based on ridership. And if the DOT goes with that split, I think Bismarck Transit would get about $190,000 of that. Again, it's a one-time thing. With that bill, there also is direction for the legislative management team to put together a study on fixed route in the urban areas. So we'll see what comes of that, but it's always good to have more studies. And then last, we did get notice that our FY26 competitive grants that we had applied for last fall, we were awarded. So we'll be receiving $249,320 in federal funds for our demand response operating assistance. This covers 50% of our early morning, after hours, Sunday, and holiday service, as well as 80% of our mobility manager salary portion. We also did get $611,184 in federal funds to replace some cutaway buses, which by the time we get the new buses, will have exceeded useful life pretty significantly. So that was all part of our fleet replacement schedule. We will also be replacing 2 fixed route buses. So we got $561,000 to replace the first one, and then a supplement from a previous grant that we were awarded of $157,250 to replace 2 2010 buses that have exceeded useful life in both age and miles. And then one more exciting, I think, rider-facing grant that we received was funding for 8 fat tire bike racks to be placed on the front of all of our fixed route buses. So we have 2 fixed route buses now that have the fat tire bikes. They're great, everyone loves them, but it's really unfortunate that only 2 of them have it. So you don't know what bus you're going to get if you're using a fat tire bike and then you're trying to board a bus that doesn't have it. It gets a little bit tricky. So we'll be replacing the remainder of the fleet with those fat tire bike options, hopefully within the next month or so, depending on availability from our vendor. Any questions?
Anybody have questions? Thank you, DJ. Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
With all these money figures you were talking about, why don't we have that in our agenda? You know, you threw all these figures, and I lost you at about the 3rd round.
I can share it with Kim, and Kim will, I'm sure, be able to get the figures out to everyone.
I think that stuff should be, you know, just a list. So
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. I will get that over to you.
Okay. Thank
Thank you.
Is there any other business for today? Kim, you come in sheepishly.
Thank you, Chair Schmitz. Members of the board, I'll be very brief. I just wanted to send out a little reminder regarding the bicycle-friendly community workshop that the MPO is hosting on May 21st and 22nd. We're hoping to net a really good attendance, a broad cross-section throughout the community of local business unit leaders and elected officials, perhaps. I do have some flyers back on the table by the sign-in sheet in case any of you want to grab one, and maybe even a couple, and share with your colleagues and your associates. We're trying to get some registration finalized at this point, and the registration for it is May 14th. So just a reminder on that. And then I do have some exciting news to share on the employment front for the MPO. We have been actively seeking a transportation planner. We've been going through the recruitment and interview process, which just concluded last week, and I'm very, very pleased to announce that we have made an offer to Stephen Larson, who has accepted the position of transportation planner with the MPO. So I hope that you join me in extending your congratulations and welcome to him in his new position. We will be advertising for a transportation specialist position opening here very soon. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Anything else? We stand adjourned.